My name's Isabella, I'm 26 years old, and if there's one thing I've learned about family, it's that they know exactly where to hit you so it hurts the most. It was a warm Sunday evening, and my mom had insisted we all gather for dinner at my aunt's house. Big table, roast chicken, mashed potatoes, laughter, the kind of thing that's supposed to feel comforting. But in my family, comfort never lasted long. Someone always had to ruin it. That night, it was my cousin, Ryan. He was 28, smug, and thought he was the funniest guy in the room. He'd been taking little jabs at me all dinner, nothing too obvious, just enough to make me look uptight if I called him out. Rolling his eyes when I spoke, smirking when someone asked about my job, making jokes that had my uncle chuckling but made me feel like I was 12 again. And then came the moment that flipped everything. I was telling my mom about a work project I'd just wrapped up, something I was genuinely proud of. Before I could even finish, Ryan leaned back in his chair and said loudly, "She always wants to be the center of attention." The table went quiet. Everyone turned and looked at me. Some with pity, some with amusement, some just waiting to see if I'd snap. That's what Ryan wanted, me to get defensive, to look dramatic, to prove his point. But I didn't. Instead, I picked up my phone, unlocked it with one swipe, and pressed a single button I had prepared for months. A button that triggered something I knew would wipe that smug grin right off his face. At first, he didn't notice. He kept laughing, kept basking in the awkward silence. But then, his phone buzzed. He glanced down at the screen, and I saw his smile falter. Then it vanished completely. My mom noticed. She leaned toward me, whispering, "Isabella, what did you do?" I looked up slowly, met Ryan's panicked eyes across the table, and let a small smile curl at my lips. And then I said something that made every fork pause midair. I leaned back in my chair, folded my hands neatly in my lap, and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "I just sent something to the family group chat." The table went still. Every person had their phone nearby, and within seconds, notifications started pinging. One by one, faces changed, confused at first, then shocked, then uncomfortable. My cousin Ryan's phone slipped in his sweaty hands as he fumbled to open it. His jaw tightened, and he muttered, "You wouldn't," but he already knew. Because months earlier, I'd discovered something about him. See, Ryan loved to brag at these dinners, about his job, his girlfriend, his perfect life. But one night, after too many beers, he'd shown me his phone while trying to impress me with some business deal. Except, it wasn't a business deal. It was him messaging another woman. Someone who wasn't his girlfriend. I hadn't said a word then. I tucked that little secret away, waiting for the right moment. And tonight, he'd handed me the opportunity on a silver platter. My mom's voice was trembling, "Isabella, tell me you didn't." I kept my eyes on Ryan, my tone calm. "Why don't you explain it to them, Ryan? Or better yet, maybe ask Amanda." Oh wait, she just read the message. Amanda was his girlfriend. She wasn't at the dinner, but she was in the family chat. And judging by the sudden flurry of typing bubbles, she was very much online. Ryan's face turned pale. He stammered, "It's not what it looks like." But no one was listening. My aunt gasped, my uncle muttered something under his breath, and my mom just stared at me like she didn't recognize me. Ryan pushed back his chair, ready to leave, but before he could, his phone rang. The sound cut through the tension like a blade. It was Amanda. He froze. Everyone was watching. No jokes now. No smugness. Just a man cornered with nowhere to run. And for the first time in years, I felt a strange, satisfying calm. Ryan's phone kept buzzing on the table, Amanda's name glowing across the screen. He didn't move. His hands hovered over the phone, then dropped into his lap. For once, he had no smart remark, no snarky grin. "Answer it," I said quietly, but the whole table heard me. My aunt broke the silence, her voice sharp. "Ryan, is this true? Are you really cheating on Amanda?" He shook his head quickly, too quickly. No, it's not what it looks like, I swear. Then answer her call, I pressed. He looked at me, and for the first time, I saw fear in his eyes. Not anger, not mockery. Fear. The phone stopped ringing. A second later, the group chat lit up again, this time with Amanda's message. So this is who you really are? Don't bother coming back to my apartment. Your stuff will be on the curb. The room exploded. My aunt started yelling at him about embarrassing the family. My uncle muttered about how he always knew Ryan was too slick for his own good. My mom shot me a look, half proud, half horrified. And Ryan? He sat there, slumped in his chair, staring at his plate of untouched mashed potatoes like they could swallow him whole. Finally, he muttered, "You've ruined my life, Isabella." I tilted my head. No, Ryan. You did that all on your own. I just gave the truth a little push. He glared at me, but the fight was gone. He grabbed his phone, shoved back his chair, and stormed out of the dining room. The slam of the front door echoed through the house. For a moment, there was silence. Just the faint clinking of silverware as someone set their fork down. Then my little cousin Emily, only 16, broke it. She looked at me with wide eyes and whispered, "That was awesome." The tension cracked, just a little. A few people even smiled. My aunt, though, sat stone-faced, furious at both me and Ryan. And my mom leaned closer, lowering her voice again. "Isabella, what else are you hiding?" Her question hit me harder than Ryan's insult ever could. Because the truth was, I was hiding something else. Something bigger. My mom's question lingered in the air. What else are you hiding? I hadn't expected her to ask that, not so quickly. I glanced at her, trying to read her expression. She didn't look angry, not exactly. More like she was scared of the answer. The truth was, Ryan wasn't the only one who had secrets. My family liked to act perfect at these dinners, but under the surface? It was all cracks. And I knew more about those cracks than anyone realized. I looked down at my plate, letting the tension build a little before I spoke. Let's just say Ryan wasn't the only one pretending. My aunt immediately shot me a sharp glare. "Isabella, don't start. You've already embarrassed us enough for one night." I smirked, the edge in my voice sharper than I intended. Funny. I didn't realize I was the one who cheated on Amanda. The table shifted uncomfortably. My uncle cleared his throat, trying to change the subject, but the damage was done. Everyone was staring at me now, waiting. I set my fork down and folded my hands together. Since Ryan thought it was so funny to humiliate me in front of all of you, I figured tonight was as good a time as any to show you that he's not the golden boy you think he is. But, I let my eyes linger on my aunt for a moment. He's not the only one I've kept receipts on. Her face went pale. I didn't say anything else, yet. But the implication hung there like a storm cloud. Emily leaned toward me, whispering, "Wait, what do you mean? What receipts?" I gave her a small smile. Let's just say some people should be very careful before they throw stones. My aunt pushed her chair back abruptly, muttering something about needing air. She walked out of the dining room, her heels clicking against the hardwood, her back stiff. The rest of the family sat frozen, forks idle, all of them looking at me with a mix of fear and curiosity. For the first time in years, I wasn't the quiet cousin, the one brushed aside. I had their attention. All of it. And I wasn't done yet. The silence was thick enough to choke on. No one touched their food. No one looked at each other. Every pair of eyes stayed locked on me, like I'd suddenly turned into some sort of threat. Finally, my uncle broke the tension. "Isabella, whatever it is you're holding on to, just spit it out. Don't play games." I leaned back in my chair, swirling the wine in my glass. I'm not playing games. I'm just tired of being everyone's punching bag at these dinners. Ryan thought it was funny to humiliate me, so I showed you all what he really is. But let's be honest, he's not the only hypocrite sitting at this table. My mom touched my arm, her voice soft but urgent. Isabella, think about what you're doing. But I'd been thinking about it for years. I turned toward my aunt, who still hadn't returned from her dramatic exit to the kitchen. Do you all remember last Christmas? When Aunt Carol told us she couldn't host because she was too busy with work? Everyone nodded. Well, I continued, she wasn't at work. She wasn't even in town. She was in Las Vegas. With someone who definitely wasn't Uncle Greg. A loud clatter echoed from the kitchen. My aunt had dropped something. My uncle's face drained of color. What the hell are you talking about? I didn't flinch. I have photos. Dated, time-stamped. She's been going there every couple of months. Different hotels, same guy. Emily gasped. My mom whispered, Isabella, in that warning tone again, but it was too late. My aunt walked back into the dining room, her face tight, her voice clipped. You don't know what you're talking about. I met her eyes. Calm. Controlled. Then you won't mind if I drop the photos in the group chat too, right? Her lips parted, but no words came out. The room erupted. My uncle cursed under his breath. Emily stared wide-eyed like she'd just witnessed a crime. My mom rubbed her temples like she wished she could vanish. And me? I sat there, perfectly still, finally holding the upper hand. Because now, the entire family knew, I wasn't someone they could dismiss anymore. And I hadn't even gotten started. Uncle Greg's chair screeched against the floor as he stood up, his face turning red. He pointed a shaking finger at my aunt. Carol. Tell me she's lying. Right now. My aunt crossed her arms, her chin lifting in defiance. Greg, don't be ridiculous. She's making this up because she wants attention. That's what she does. It was the exact same line Ryan had thrown at me earlier. And now, hearing her use it, something inside me snapped. I leaned forward, my voice low but sharp. Funny how quickly you call me a liar when you know damn well I have proof. I pulled out my phone, tapped the screen a few times, and slid it across the table toward my uncle. On it was a picture I'd saved months ago, my aunt in a hotel lobby, arm in arm with a man no one at this table knew. The date and time were stamped neatly at the bottom. The color drained from my uncle's face. He stared at the photo, then at his wife. His hands trembled as he pushed the phone back toward me. You've been lying to me, he whispered, his voice cracking. My aunt's composure faltered for the first time all night. She opened her mouth, closed it again, and finally muttered, "It's not what it looks like." Those words, "not what it looks like," were starting to feel like a family motto. My mom tried to intervene. "Greg, maybe this isn't the place." But he cut her off. "No, Linda. I deserve to know if my wife's been sneaking around behind my back." The air was heavy, suffocating. No one dared move. Even Emily, who'd been quietly cheering me on, was biting her lip nervously. I leaned back in my chair, watching it all unfold. Part of me felt guilty. This wasn't just revenge anymore, this was a marriage unraveling. But another part of me, the part that had swallowed years of insults, dismissals, and condescension, felt powerful. For once, I wasn't the one under fire. And I wasn't planning on stopping until every skeleton in this family's closet saw daylight. Uncle Greg's voice rose, louder than I'd ever heard it. "How long, Carol? How long have you been sneaking around while I've been working my ass off to keep this family afloat?" My aunt's face hardened, like she'd rehearsed her answer. "Don't you dare stand there and act like you're some saint. You're never home. You don't listen to me. You treat me like I'm invisible. So excuse me for finding someone who actually makes me feel like I exist." The table went dead quiet. Greg's jaw clenched. "So it's true." She didn't deny it. He pushed his chair back so violently it nearly toppled. "I should have known. All those excuses, all those trips. God, I was so stupid. He stormed out, his footsteps echoing through the hall, the front door slamming a second later. My aunt sat back down, her eyes red, but her expression icy. Congratulations, Isabella. You've officially destroyed this family. I stared at her, unflinching. No. I didn't destroy anything. I just stopped letting you all pretend. Her lips curled in disgust. You're pathetic. Always needing to bring people down just to feel important. That one stung, but I didn't let it show. Instead, I forced myself to stay calm, to sound collected. Funny coming from you. How many times did you laugh when Ryan made me his punchline? How many times did you join in? You didn't care when it was me being humiliated. But now that the spotlight's on you, suddenly I'm pathetic. Emily shifted uncomfortably in her seat, whispering, "She's not wrong," but my aunt shot her a glare that silenced her instantly. I sat back, my heart pounding, but my voice steady. This family thrives on secrets and lies. And I've had enough. Tonight, I'm done being quiet. If you want to call me pathetic for finally standing up for myself, go ahead. But don't forget, you made me this way. My aunt didn't reply. She just sat there, her silence louder than any insult. And deep down, I knew, I wasn't done yet. The silence stretched so long I could hear the clock ticking in the living room. Nobody moved, nobody spoke. My aunt kept her eyes fixed on the table, like if she didn't look at anyone, she could will herself invisible. Finally, my cousin Emily, the only one brave enough, broke it. She's right, you know. Everyone here acts so perfect, but half the time, it's just lies and pretending. Maybe it's about time somebody said it out loud. Her mom snapped her head toward her. Emily, stay out of this. But Emily didn't back down. No. I'm sick of it too. Every time we come to these dinners, it's the same thing, people whispering, making little digs at each other, acting like everything's fine when it's not. And when Isabella finally calls it out, you all act like she's the problem. The words hung heavy. My aunt looked like she'd swallowed glass, my mom rubbed her temples, and my uncle was still gone, the door slam echoing in everyone's mind. Then my older cousin, Daniel, the quiet one who usually stayed neutral, cleared his throat. Look, I don't know about all this, but Isabella's not wrong. Ryan's been a jerk for years. We all laughed it off because it was easier than saying anything. Maybe we shouldn't have. Hearing Daniel side with me was shocking. For once, someone wasn't brushing me aside. My mom's voice came next, soft but firm. Isabella, I just don't understand, why now? Why tonight? I set my fork down and folded my hands in front of me. Because I got tired. Tired of being treated like I'm invisible. Tired of being everyone's favorite target. And mostly, tired of watching this family rot from the inside while pretending everything's fine. My words were steady, but my heart was racing. This wasn't just revenge anymore, it was liberation. Emily's eyes were on me, wide and curious. Isabella, do you have more? Like, are there more secrets? I held her gaze, then slowly nodded. Yeah. There's more. A ripple of unease went around the table. Forks were abandoned, chairs shifted. Everyone knew I wasn't bluffing. And they all knew someone else was about to be next. The room felt like it was shrinking, the air heavy with tension. Everyone avoided each other's eyes, like children in a classroom hoping the teacher wouldn't call on them. They all knew I had more to say, and they were terrified of being next. I let the silence hang for a few seconds longer before I finally spoke. You all think Ryan was the only one with skeletons? That Carol was the only one sneaking around? No. This family is built on secrets. And I've been sitting quietly, watching, remembering. I'm done with that. My mom's voice broke through, firm but shaky. Isabella, stop. This isn't you. I turned to her, my tone sharper than I meant. No, Mom. This is me. This is who I became because every single time I tried to stand up for myself, you told me to let it go, or keep the peace. Well, guess what? I'm not keeping the peace anymore. Her lips pressed tight. She had no comeback. Then I looked across the table at Daniel. He'd spoken up earlier, defended me a little. But he wasn't innocent either. Daniel, should I talk about why you really quit your last job? His head snapped up, his face pale. Don't. The table went still. I leaned forward. You told everyone you left because the company was downsizing. But that's not what happened, is it? He shook his head slowly, eyes pleading. Isabella, please. But I didn't stop. You were caught stealing thousands of dollars in equipment. And instead of pressing charges, they let you resign quietly so it wouldn't ruin the company's reputation. You didn't leave because of downsizing. You left because you got caught. A shocked murmur rippled across the table. Emily's jaw dropped. My mom gasped. My aunt's face twisted, torn between glee that someone else was on the chopping block and horror that the spotlight might swing back her way. Daniel's fists clenched on the table. You had no right. I cut him off. No right? You've all been laughing at me, tearing me down, treating me like I don't matter for years. I've got every right. Because while you were all busy mocking me, I was paying attention. And unlike the rest of you, I don't lie to myself about what this family really is. Daniel shoved his chair back, his face red. For a second, I thought he might actually hit the table, but instead he stormed out, just like Ryan and Greg before him. 3 down. More to go. And the rest of the family knew it. Daniel's footsteps pounded down the hallway, followed by the slam of the front door. The sound echoed through the house like a warning shot. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. The dining table looked like a battlefield, half-finished plates of food, wine glasses untouched, and a family sitting in absolute silence, waiting for who would fall next. My aunt broke first. She leaned forward, her voice sharp but shaky. This is insane. You're tearing us apart, Isabella. Do you even realize what you're doing? I met her eyes. I didn't tear this family apart. I just pulled back the curtain. Everything you're seeing tonight was always here. You just chose to ignore it. Emily whispered, almost to herself, she's not wrong. My mom shot her a look, but Emily didn't back down this time. Uncle Greg's chair was still empty. Daniel was gone. Ryan too. The house was quieter than I'd ever heard it during a family dinner. And yet, I'd never felt so alive. I looked around the table. You've all treated me like an outsider for years. Every dinner, every holiday, every conversation, it was always about making me the joke. The afterthought. The one who never measured up. Well, tonight I'm not the joke. Tonight I'm the one with the truth. No one argued. No one dared. But I saw it in their eyes, fear. Each of them wondering, what does she know about me? Am I next? And the truth was, I had something on almost everyone at that table. I took a sip of my wine, letting the silence stretch. I'm not here to destroy for the sake of destroying. But I am here to make one thing clear, the days of me sitting quietly while you tear me down are over. I've kept your secrets, but I don't owe you my silence anymore. My aunt scoffed, but it was weak, forced. My mom stared at her hands. Emily just kept looking at me like I'd turned into someone new. And maybe I had. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't the powerless one. And they knew I wasn't finished yet. My aunt finally snapped. She slammed her palm on the table, making the glasses rattle. Enough, Isabella. You've made your point. You've embarrassed Ryan, humiliated me, destroyed Daniel's reputation. You've ripped this family to shreds just to make yourself feel better. Are you proud of yourself? Her words were meant to sting, but they didn't. I leaned forward, Calm, steady. Proud? No. Relieved? Yes. For once, I'm not the one being torn apart while everyone else sits back and laughs. You're just not used to being on the receiving end. She opened her mouth to retort, but Emily cut her off. Mom, stop. You've been cruel to Isabella for years. You all have. Every single time, you let Ryan mock her, you piled on, and nobody defended her. Now she's finally standing up for herself, and suddenly it's embarrassing and wrong? No. You don't get to play victim. The room went still again. Emily's voice cracked, but she didn't back down. I smiled faintly at her. The kid had guts. But then, my mom finally spoke. Her voice was low, almost pleading. Isabella, I understand you're angry. I know they've hurt you. But you can't just burn everything to the ground. You'll regret it. I turned to her, my throat tight. Mom, I've regretted every single year I stayed silent. I've regretted every dinner where I bit my tongue just to keep the peace. Tonight? For the first time in my life, I don't regret a damn thing. The weight of my words sank into the room. Nobody argued. I let my gaze drift around the table, finally landing on my mom. I hesitated, she was the only one I'd promised myself I wouldn't go after. But deep down, I knew even she wasn't innocent. I took a slow breath. And if anyone thinks I'm bluffing, ask yourself this: do you really want me to prove what I know about you? Her face went pale. She didn't speak. And just like that, the balance shifted again. Everyone at that table knew I wasn't bluffing. And my mom knew she might be next. The room had gone silent again, all eyes locked on my mom. She sat rigid in her chair, her knuckles white around her wine glass. For years, she had been the calm one, the peacekeeper. But now? She looked terrified. I hesitated. Out of everyone at that table, she was the only one I'd wanted to protect. But if I was going to expose the truth, I couldn't stop now. I took a deep breath. You've always told me to let things go. To be the bigger person. But maybe you should tell them why you wanted me to stay quiet all the time. Her lips parted, her voice barely a whisper. Isabella, don't. I leaned forward, steady. Because you didn't want anyone to look too closely at you. A ripple of unease passed through the table. My aunt leaned in, eager for someone else to fall. I locked eyes with my mom. Do you want to tell them, or should I? She shook her head slowly, her eyes glassy. So I said it. Last year, when Dad thought you were visiting Grandma in Florida. You weren't in Florida. You were in Chicago. With Mark. The table gasped. My aunt's hand flew to her mouth. Emily's eyes widened. My mom's face crumpled. Isabella. I pressed on. You've been having an affair for over a year. While Dad was working late nights, killing himself to provide, you were slipping away with someone else. And you sat here, every family dinner, acting like you were better than the rest of them. Preaching about keeping the peace, about being honest. When you were lying all along. Her shoulders shook, tears brimming. For the first time that night, I felt a pang of guilt. This wasn't like Ryan's smug grin or my aunt's cold stare. This was my mom. But the words were already out. My aunt leaned back with a bitter smile. Well, isn't this just lovely? The moral compass of the family exposed. I shot her a glare. Don't you dare enjoy this. You're no better. My mom covered her face with her hands, silent sobs breaking through. The rest of the table sat frozen, stunned into silence. And me? I wasn't sure if I'd gone too far, or if this was exactly what needed to happen. The sound of my mom's quiet sobs filled the room, sharper than any words I had spoken all night. Everyone sat frozen, unsure whether to comfort her or keep their distance. For years, she'd been the anchor of this family, the one who smoothed over fights, who told us to hold things together. And now, she was the one unraveling in front of us. My aunt was the first to speak, her tone dripping with bitterness. Well, I suppose the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. She cheats, her daughter destroys families, it all makes sense now. I turned on her, my voice low but seething. Don't you dare. You've been sneaking around for years yourself, and you still have the audacity to judge her? At least she wasn't laughing while tearing people down. Emily slammed her palm on the table, surprising everyone. Enough. All of you. Don't you see? Isabella isn't the problem here. The problem is this family has been lying and hurting each other for years, and nobody wanted to admit it. You're just mad because she forced you to look in the mirror. Her words cut through the chaos, and for a moment, the room went still. Daniel was gone. Ryan was gone. Greg was gone. My aunt sat fuming, my mom sobbing, Emily defiant. The family dinner had turned into a reckoning. I leaned back in my chair, my chest tight, the weight of what I'd just done pressing down on me. For so long, I had dreamed of this moment, making them feel the way they'd made me feel. Exposed. Small. Weak. And yet, seeing my mom cry cut deeper than I expected. Emily looked at me then, her voice softer. Isabella, do you feel better? After all this? I swallowed hard. Better? No. But I feel free. The words were true. For years, I'd carried their cruelty, their hypocrisy, their secrets like a burden. Tonight, I had finally set it all down. But freedom came at a price. And the question lingering in everyone's eyes was simple: what would be left of us after this? The room felt like it had been drained of air. My mom's quiet crying, my aunt's sharp breathing, Emily's restless shifting in her chair, it all pressed in on me. Finally, my aunt snapped, her voice cutting through the silence. This is exactly what I warned about. Digging up dirt, dragging everyone through the mud. Look at us now, your uncle's gone, your cousins stormed out, and your mother's. She stopped herself, glancing at my mom. Emily glared at her. Don't you dare blame Isabella for this. She didn't create the mess. You all did. My aunt's face hardened. She exposed it. That's worse. I leaned forward, locking eyes with her. No, Carol. What's worse is pretending everything's fine while this family rots from the inside. I didn't ruin this family tonight, I just forced you all to face what you've been ignoring. My mom lifted her head, her eyes red and swollen. Isabella, maybe that's true. But you've hurt people. You've hurt me. Her voice cracked on that last word, and it nearly broke me. For the first time all night, my confidence wavered. Mom. I never wanted to hurt you. My throat tightened. I wanted you to see me. To stand up for me. To stop letting them make me their target. She wiped her face, her expression softer than before. And instead, you became just like them. Her words cut deep because part of me knew she was right. Emily shook her head. No, she didn't. She became stronger. She finally stopped letting you all walk over her. My aunt scoffed, but no one else spoke. I sat there, torn. Part of me wanted to slam my fist down, to reveal one last truth I'd been holding back, the one that would scorch everything beyond repair. But another part of me, the part staring at my mom's broken face, wondered if maybe it was enough. Was I finally finished? Or was there still one more truth that needed to come out? I sat there, staring at my mom's tear-stained face, my aunt's cold glare, the empty chairs where Ryan, Daniel, and Uncle Greg had once sat. Emily's hopeful eyes were on me, waiting. The weight of the entire night pressed against my chest. One last truth. I still had it. A secret that could burn every bridge left standing. For years, I'd held it close like a weapon, waiting for the perfect time. And now, it was sitting heavy on my tongue. But when I opened my mouth, nothing came out. Instead, I exhaled, slow and shaky. I think I've said enough. The table shifted uneasily. My aunt looked almost relieved, my mom confused, Emily disappointed. I pushed my chair back, the scrape of the legs against the hardwood echoing louder than any words. I stood, tall, steady. For the first time in my life, I wasn't shrinking under their judgment. I'm done letting this family decide who I am, I said, my voice clear. You've all spent years tearing me down, making me feel small. Tonight, I reminded you that I'm not weak. I'm not invisible. You don't get to treat me like I don't matter anymore. No one spoke. I looked at my mom, my voice softer. I didn't want to hurt you. But I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine. Maybe now, we can stop lying to ourselves. Her lips trembled, but she nodded, ever so slightly. Emily gave me the smallest smile, a quiet kind of pride shining in her eyes. Without another word, I picked up my coat, slung it over my shoulder, and walked out. The air outside was cool, crisp, freeing. For the first time, I felt light. Behind me, the house was full of silence, broken pieces, and people finally forced to face themselves. I didn't know if this family would recover. Honestly, I didn't care. Because I had already won. I'd gotten my revenge. And I'd finally found peace.